It's been a long road getting past copyrights. It's been a long time, but the salon will start right now. Ahoy, hoy, friends, and welcome to the Salon, Vox Salon. That's right, we are talking about the second half of the first season of Star Trek Enterprise, and we'll be having a little thumb war. But in order to do that, I need my troops, my crew. Let's start with my co-host, Trevor. How are you?
Just delightful on this rainy Southern California Thursday evening.
Yeah, the weather's been weathering.
It has.
We had a tornado warning today, which is what partially what delayed my mom's flight. She's here. It's fine.
Which is weird because the house did not land on my sister today. So.
Try as we might. There is not a nice segue, so I'm going to go to Benji. How are you, Benji?
Good. We've got new leader of maybe the last remaining free country in the world coming in tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes.
Yes, congrats to you, I guess. Do we like him?
Hey, Stan, remember when an election would happen and you just go,
I was thinking of that today. It should be boring as fuck.
Yeah.
I wish.
That would be, delightful. Speaking of delightful, here's Joanne. Joanne, how are you?
Here I am. I am well. How are you?
Stressed but blessed.
Indeed. Booked and blessed, right, honey?
Yes. We've got a small crew this week, as we've had for all of Enterprise, but we now have one person of color and one non-male, which by Enterprise standards is not bad. Thank you for joining us, Joanne.
No stress, Joanne. It's all on you, girl.
It's just all on me and my usual charming self, right?
You speak for all Black women.
All around the world, everywhere, right? Yeah.
Yes.
All at once.
all everywhere, all of the times, all of the things. That's right. We're talking about Star Trek Enterprise, but before we get into it, we simply must set an intention.
Indeed, we must. To set an intention tonight, I thought it would be fun if we imagined a world where Scott Bakula said, "No, thank you." So, no offense to Scott. This is not Trek not wanting Scott. This is what if Scott didn't want Trek. So let's recast Captain Archer. As always, I will start us off. And I'm just going to say not only because push the problematic gay alert. Like, it's not the only reason, but just push the alert. Like, it's fine.
Problematic gay alert.
Not because he's one of my space husbands, but Daniel Day Kim. Murmur. All right, so that's my choice. Let's go around the room and see who you all picked.
No commentary, just the name.
Daniel Day Kim. If you don't know, first of all, if you don't know who he is,
that's not what I said. I do.
Right.
I was just wondering if you wanted to. I love him. He was great in Crusade.
I don't know who he is. I guess I'll Google random white guy.
Break out your Google machine. Mostly because I really enjoyed the little bit of him in sci-fi that we got in Crusade, the Babylon 5 spinoff. Felt like we could have gotten more. Felt like he deserved more. So I think it would be really fun.
In that Voyager episode.
And as we've learned over the last 2 weeks, you have to be hot to be on Enterprise.
Yes.
So there you go. That's my reason and my person, and I'm sticking to it. Joanne, my dear, if you had to recast the Bakula, who are you choosing?
So going with your logic that you need to be hot to be on Enterprise,
Mhm.
I'm going to, and I don't even know, he might have already been on the show at the time, but whatever. This is the what if, right? But
Right.
I am invoking Keith Hamilton Cobb, the one tier, what, Anasazi from Andromeda, hotness moving, tall, booming voice, commanding presence. Like, I just think you need somebody big and like fearless and hot, right? To be pre-enterprise or pre 1701 enterprise. So that's my choice and I'm sticking to it.
Love it. Benji, my dear.
Well, I was thinking like sort of the most important thing to capture with Enterprise is that like, early space exploration feeling that they do so well. So I thought a good person for that would be Chris Marshall, who plays Danielle Poole on For All Mankind. Get that like early exploration vibe. She's like very commanding. I think it would like really invigorate the series. Actually, I kind of want it remade with her in the captain seat.
I
We do it.
absolutely love that answer. And it's so on brand Canadian. It's such a good it's just a
Okay.
good answer. Stan.
I have
Stan's
not had.
frantically looking for images of everyone that we've said.
I've known all of these names thus far, except
No, no.
I did not.
I know. You're just obsessed with the visuals, and
Oh,
I didn't mean to trigger you by like having us all name different actors. And I'm like, oh, she's just gonna go down a rabbit hole.
She is. I also I have not had enough time with the question, so I just had not considered.
Fair.
And which reminds me to do something really quick, and this is tacky to do live. Sorry, vamping. I need an executive producer. There we go. Okay, so what I was actually doing, I was Googling hot actors of the 2000s. And the one that came up that I was like, oh, hell yeah, that would be amazing, was Charlize Theron. So I'll go with that. Charlize.
I mean, she is hot.
Yeah.
She gets
Yeah. And hello to everybody in the chat. Now that the intentions are set, some podcasty things, be sure to like and subscribe. We are off the wheels, off the tracks, off the whatever already. The most minor disruption in my routine, and I am completely discombobulated, apparently. So picking
somebody
things
broke Stan, and it wasn't me being inappropriate that did it.
not this time. We are on Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts is what I meant to say, Amazon Music, all of the podcast places. We're on YouTube. Like and subscribe, share. You can support us over on Patreon. We are at Salon Trek in all of those places. And now, Jude Law. Great called Mormon. Jude Law would be an interesting choice if you're sticking with a white man. All right, y'all. Intentions are set. It is now time to get into our top thoughts. Second half of the first season, it's hornier. It's angry white manier. It's something. She's something. She's someone. And it's about time I quoted First Wives Club on the Salon. So there you go. Just check that box off.
I don't believe it's the first time, but I'm just one to cause controversy.
First time in a while, for sure. But yes, I'm sure we've talked about those white ladies. Some good episodes here. Some stinkers. One that really pisses me off that they even bothered doing. Which, like, I definitely had a. I would be like, I would be like the Discovery assholes if Twitter were around at this time. See if you can pick which episode I'm talking about. That's it for now. Benji, what are your top thoughts?
Well, I didn't watch any of the episodes last week, just because I did a rewatch pretty recently. But I did catch up on a few this week, and it's like always takes me like a little while to get into like Bakula's sort of stilted speech. I still don't know what's going on. I like him, but I don't know what's going on with his performance there. It's a little odd, but I do usually get into the groove of it, and then I ignore it. So yeah, that was a little weird. I don't not much to say. I think like this half of the season was quite a bit weaker than the first half. Like the first half I thought was actually quite solid, and like our scoring I think kind of confirmed that at the end of last week. But I think this thing is gonna be a little lower this time, guys.
Joanne, your top thoughts on episodes you haven't yet seen?
Absolutely. I think, I'm very excited about this thumb war. I think I've decided I'll be the audience proxy. So people in the chat, help me out, right? And when I can't decide from the gross Google description, I'm going to look to you all. So tell me what you think. My contrary, call out the bullshit nature. So give me some talking points. Help me out, chat. You're my friends tonight. I'm your voice. I'm your voice. Don't leave me hanging.
And just like Trek Twitter, we love an opinion about something people haven't seen. Trevor, what are your top thoughts on the second half of the season?
Thank you for breaking me in return, because like now, like wow, that was the read that I've been looking for. Where have you been this whole time? Anyway, all right, I'll behave. Season 1.2, season 1B, whatever the fuck we're calling it. It is definitely hornier. It is definitely Oh, I don't. No, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to insult anyone. I'm just going to say it's hornier and more tired, which is bizarre. It definitely wants to do something. It just doesn't know what it wants to do. This is where we get the, oh my God, we've just concluded 12 years in a row of Star Trek and we're exhausted. Like it kicks in, I would say, in like 1 or 2 episodes. There's one that's a little clever a little bit further in, but yeah, it's rough. But we're here for it, and we've seen clunky Trek before, and it's turned itself around. Will Enterprise? Stay tuned. Why are we waiting? What are we doing? Stan's just giving us a finger.
I couldn't get to the mute button, but thank you for vamping so beautifully, Trevor.
Pointing out that nothing was happening. That's what I'm here for.
Stan, you're bad at this. Stan.
Part of my job as co-host is to give you performance feedback live on the air and make things as awkward as possible.
It is helpful. Thank you. I forgot to load the slides, but here they are.
Oh.
Now, let's get into our thumb war. Why didn't it get that? Okay. It's our disaster show. Any Studio 60 fans? This is our disaster show. Here we go, Trevor. Go.
You don't want to tell the people how Thumb Wars works?
We're going to use our thumbs to talk about these episodes.
No, we're not. Damn it. Okay, fine. I'm going to read a really shitty Google description of an episode. I will probably have an attitude about it while I do it. And then we're going to discuss the episode and rate it with a thumbs up, thumbs down, or the most prevalent rating of all time, the thumbs sideways. And yeah, now I'm going to start by diving into season 1, episode 14, entitled "Sleeping Dogs." If you hadn't figured that out because of the visual that's been on the screen for the last 6 minutes. Anywho, Sleeping dogs. Here's the shitty Google description that I did not write. T'Pol, Hoshi, and Reed become stranded aboard a disabled Klingon vessel after they are ambushed by a female Klingon.
It's an aggressive use of the word female there.
You know, and it wasn't my emphasis on the word. It was just the way that it was written. And anyway, Joanne, based on this shitty description of an episode you've never seen, would you want to watch this episode?
Well, you know, I'm obsessed with the Klingons, so I'd want to watch it. Although I'm going in skeptical because I think they're not going to be nice to them. So, but I'll watch it.
And now for spoilers. You know, this is one that I still feel was they were still treading on some unique territory. Like I can't think of a Voyager episode that I can relate this one to, or a Next Gen episode. I liked the idea of kind of diving in more to the Klingons of this era. It still runs into the problem, and I know they try to address it in the 4th season of like Klingon makeup, and like their ships look exactly like they look in Next Gen, but it's 200 years earlier. Like there's just some weirdness in Klingon development that I'm gonna be a Trek bro about, but I still think there's a lot of positive about it, and I liked this sort of early era exploration, and also really enjoyed. I don't know, it was giving me like Dungeons and Dragons vibes of them like running through the ship and like going into different rooms and exploring and like find, oh no, there's a Targ in this room. And I also enjoyed some of Hoshi sort of reading Klingon and trying to figure out what the hell consoles said and all that good stuff. So,
Yeah.
You brought me here to speak Klingon. Oh, that's the other girl. Never mind.
I like this episode. I think it's a good Hoshi episode. She really steps out of her comfort zone. She offers to go on the away mission. And there's some good stuff with her and T'Pol that we've said this before. I wish that we got more exploration of them developing a friendship. We get a little bit of it throughout, but this looked like the start of something wonderful that they just didn't really explore, unfortunately. Spoilers for the next 6 weeks. Benji, any thoughts on this episode before we vote?
Not really.
My
one note was my one note was that it was a good Hoshi episode. Like that's what I like the best. And then Enterprise does this a lot, but like they have a lot of episodes where they're like having to sort of overcome their like technological limitations, but they do a really good job of it, and I always like them. And this is one of those episodes, and I think it's cool. So anyway, thumb.
Okay, let's do those thumbs.
Oh no, it's a tie.
It's a tie with a tiebreaker vote. I love it.
I know.
You're supposed to bring those, Joanne.
But we do have a sideways in the chat from Norman, so I'm going to call it a sideways.
Mm-hmm.
Season 1, episode 15, Shadows of Pajem. Because why not call back an episode that we literally just finished less than half a season ago and revisit it? T'Pol is ordered home, but during her last Starfleet mission, she and Archer are kidnapped by an alien planet's militant faction and placed at the mercy of the Mercurial Andorians. Based on this shitty description, Joanne, nod yes or no. Are you watching this one?
No.
I actually kind of think you would like this one, Joanne. I don't know.
Do you? I mean, I like the blue people, but I don't know. That didn't sound exciting.
Doesn't sound very jazzy.
Yeah, they pick up randomly what this episode should have happened right after the Andorian incident. It's weird how they tried. It's weird pacing. It's weird that the Andorians happen to be on that planet in the same time that they happen to be discussing what happened to Pajem. So like there were just too many coincidences for it to be cohesive for me. And for that, I'm voting sideways. Anybody else have thoughts on this?
Somebody mentioned in the chat that this was the boob episode, and I remember that there was like Bakula was on like a late night show or something, and that was the clip that they used, but they stopped it short of him falling into her boobs, and I was like, wow, like the scene was boring up until then, and like, why is this the clip you're choosing if you're not going to show the boob part?
Right.
So I was a little frustrated with that with the marketing department. But yeah, also, yeah, I thought it was mid. It's like, it's obvious that they're trying to pick up on some of the things that they did in DS9, which was like run some plot throughs through the season. It was a little ham-fisted, and it was just kind of a mid episode. Glad they like referenced and like went back to that stuff and revisited it. But then also I was kind of disappointed, like for the reason that T'Pol ended up being allowed to stay, which was just through like kind of a fluke rather than something, I don't know, a little more important.
Yeah, agreed. I liked the revisit. I just the timing of the revisit was weird. Like either do it like Stan said right after, or what a cool callback at like the end of season 2. Like to tie like, oh yeah, remember that episode from the beginning of the season? Like it just felt weird doing it so quickly. But anyway. Thumbs. It wouldn't matter, Joanne, because you're outvoted anyway.
I
yeah.
know. I mean, but when Benji said titties, I was like, "Ooh, well, maybe it is good." But then he didn't fall into them, or he didn't motorboat them.
He did. He did.
Oh, he did.
They didn't show it on the late night show that I was watching. That's all.
I see.
That's a something, Stan. I don't know what button you want to push, but like that's a.
I don't know.
It's nothing.
I would just count it as an ally. Season 1, episode 16. Shuttle Pod 1. Anyway. A routine survey of an asteroid field turns life-threatening when Trip and Reed are stranded aboard the shuttle pod with only a few hours to find their way back to Enterprise. Joanne,
This is
based
the
on
inner
that,
light of Enterprise. Sorry, we did. Sorry.
She's nodding yes. Okay, cool. Okay. Sorry, go ahead, Stan. You were saying it's the inner light because it's probably overrated.
Yes. This episode gets a lot of praise. It's a good episode. I think it's a great performance between Dominic and Connor, but I do think it's a little overrated. I don't think, like, having rewatched it recently, I'm like, there is not enough evidence that wreckage was Enterprise for these two supposedly brilliant, let's put them on the first warp 5 starship people. Like it like, and that's the special effects team. Like I think they could have done a better job with the wreckage to make it look like Enterprise. And like there was the dialogue from Archer that like, oh, they blew off part of our door, and that's why a piece of Enterprise was on that asteroid. It just didn't look like enough of wreckage for two smart people to be like, yep, that's where 89 bodies are. There's our ship. And that's my only complaint about this episode, I guess.
Yeah, the science doesn't science. It's weird in that it even becomes the clearly, and I think this goes without saying, but like clearly writers were like, how do we get these two people stuck in a shuttle pod? Like, and they just sort of reverse engineered it, and it was clumsy, in my opinion. Though, a lovely episode for Connor and Dom. But yeah,
it all could have worked without them thinking that the crew is dead. Like they still could have been like lost in the shuttle far away, and just like we're trying to figure out how to get back. Because all the stuff after that is really interesting, where they're trying and think about all of these things that they could do to communicate with them or get back to them. So all that was good. It's like very, very obvious that they wanted to write like a good like two-hander play kind of thing, which it is. I think it's really good. It's pretty. It's obvious that that's what they were going for. So that maybe brings it down a little bit. But ultimately, I do think it's. I think it's, as we've said, it is rated. I think it's very good, but maybe a little overrated. Or
All right, shall we see those thumbs?
I'm gonna stand with Norman and vote.
Ooh.
Ooh, controversial yet brave.
You know, we do what we can.
Season 1, Episode 17, Fusion. A group of Vulcans who are eager to experience emotions visits Enterprise, tempting T'Pol to become more free-spirited. I will ask
It's a
Joanne.
no for
for
me,
her-
dog. It's a no for me,
It's only-
dog.
Okay, all right,
Ugh.
fair enough.
Ugh.
Fair enough.
It's
Although, could you
another
pull that visual back
telepathic
up?
mind rape episode.
Yeah, I realize this episode is controversial. The subject matter is controversial. There's a lot of this that's inappropriate. All of that aside, that gentleman is delightful.
That gentleman
He-
also ages very well if you've looked him up.
He
Yeah.
looks really
He's sort of
familiar.
like-
Who is he?
He was hot until he wasn't.
It's
Problematic
It's
Gaylord.
problematic. Yeah, 1,000%. But he's hot.
I like a lot of this episode because I like seeing alien races that aren't a monolith. Like, oh, not all Vulcans are assholes. That's cool. This is interesting. Different groups, and like, not everybody was a creep like that guy. And we also know that there will be repercussions because it really rattled T'Pol. There was some interesting stuff happening here, and I do think I keep thinking of the word interesting because, like, I don't think it was executed very well. They did that episode of Voyager of like, maybe it didn't happen, and Seven's just accusing somebody, and like, wildly awful episode. This was not that, but like Archer needing to be the white knight for T'Pol really bothered me, rather than her standing on her own agency as she, like, the character would have bitch slapped him had they written this episode the way that they have written her otherwise. So it was a mess. Like, there were some good, interesting things that they tried to get, but like it needed a sensitivity read. It needed a woman co-writer. Like, it needed another pass or two.
I have to wonder, every time Star Trek attempts to approach this topic, they fail miserably. Like, they just need to stop approaching this topic. Like, until you've figured it out, it didn't all start, because there's a TOS episode that's pretty troublesome. But in my opinion, the pattern begins in Next Gen with a matter of perspective, which is like a lovely way of describing sexual assault. What?
Yeah.
No, it's awful. Like, it's not a matter of perspective.
Yeah, consent is not a
Sensual
hard topic.
Well, like, why is that so challenging? Oh, right, old white men. It's just, yeah. Anyway, I'll stop ranting because we could do that for an entire episode.
Benji, any thoughts?
Oh, sorry.
Or the thumbs? It gets it sideways for me, dog.
All right, I lost. It's okay. It happens from time to time. Season 1,
Hello.
Episode 18. Oh, whoops.
Yeah.
You okay, Benji?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Let's check it.
Noises.
Season 1, Episode 18, Rogue Planet. Fun idea, not so fun episode. While exploring an uncharted planet, the crew members encounter aliens who hunt indigenous creatures for recreation. Archer receives a distress signal from one of the planet's inhabitants. Joanne, I would like your completely uninformed nod to this horrible description. You watching or no?
I like her hair, so yes.
But do you like her in slug form?
Mhm.
Do you like her slime?
Oh, yeah, by the way, that
Same
scantily
lady.
clad woman is that worm creature.
Is
to
she
the
the
right.
bug in the picture?
She's the bug.
Oh. I
She
might
can-
turn it off when the bug count on the screen.
Her species can project what they want to be viewed as. And apparently it fools scanners as well. I don't know. I somewhat disagree with Norman here. Awful episode, and Paul made an assumption of Archer. I don't think she was that off with the assumption that she was making, because she at one point says something along the lines of, "Would you be pursuing this as passionately had it been a scantily clad man who was asking for your assistance?" I mean, I would. Trevor would. Benji probably would.
Wait, did he fuck the bug?
I think they kiss.
Oh.
I think
Okay.
I can't remember. I was half paying attention to this episode. She's the one who says the line, "Never stop seeking what seems unobtainable." Younger Stan, that line hit, and I was like, "Oh, this is writing." And then I heard it again the other day. I'm like, "Oh God, why did it's cheesy as fuck?"
Especially right after the last episode.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Thumbs. I liked the Rogue Planet. It would have been cool if they didn't make it do something with the Rogue Planet. It's a real phenomenon. It would be cool.
I love the concept.
Anyway,
Love it. But yeah. Womp womp. Season 1, episode 19. I think this is what
real quick,
Stan was
I got to
talking
step
about.
away so you all do your thing. I'll be right back.
I think this was we're gonna guess that I'm pretty sure this is the episode that got them all riled up.
I hate it, and I'll talk about it in just a minute.
Damn, girl, settle down. Season 1, episode 19, Acquisition. And even the description does the thing they try to do in the episode, which I'm going to spoil in a moment. But when intergalactic pirates board Enterprise and stun the crew, unaffected Trip is the only one able to stop them. Based on that exciting description, Joanne, are you watching or are you not watching?
I saw the
No.
pictures and I see Ferengi. No.
Girl, yeah. So intergalactic pirates are the Ferengi, who they just never name because they can't, because that would break canon, and the way to avoid breaking canon was to just never say the word. Your face says it all.
Also, how did the Ferengi keep breaking into the Enterprise? It's supposed to be a
any
force
ship
cell.
named Enterprise, they just show up and
Yeah.
start looting.
They do make kind of all the Federation ships their bitch, don't they? Like, what
Little
is
bit.
with that? Yeah. In every franchise or every series rather.
And then there's like a weird through line where they're gonna eat Porthos. It's I'm like, really? We're gonna I mean, there are enough
they-
problems with the
They
Ferengi
don't
in general.
eat dogs.
But they eat bugs. Why are they gonna eat the dog? Doesn't make sense.
Aw.
They don't. Porthos is fine. Porthos lives. He makes it through this episode.
They could make a feast out of Archer's girlfriend.
Why
The
not?
bug?
He probably did.
No.
I don't have the button.
The bug girl from the last episode, they ate her.
Mhm.
Ah.
Norman
You
is
got Clint
correct
Howard.
in that. What's that?
Wasn't Clint Howard in this one?
Yes,
Yeah,
I think he was a Ferengi in this one.
he's a Ferengi in this one. Yeah.
Norman's correct that Trip in his blue undies can't save this
Oh, yeah.
episode, but it is the episode that gave us Trip
Oh, and
running around
Combs.
the ship in his undies for like almost the entire episode.
We've got Combs and Howard and Trip in his underwear, and it's still 8.
It should be a winner. Like, how do you break that? That's like a formula for that's a formula for success right there. I don't understand. It didn't work. They were trying to Trip convinces the Ferengi that there's a vault on the ship and that they're going to go loot like the captain's vault. It's very piratey. It's very silly. The canon breakage just doesn't. It's not okay.
It's so dumb. I hate it.
Yeah.
This one, I'm going full Trek Twitter, bro. Why is she his brother, or his sister? Like, it could have been anyone else. It could have been the Nausicaans. It could have been anyone else. They made they made a whole deal about the Ferengi in Next Generation. And yes, they never say they're the Ferengi. Like, it's just, they're not supposed to be that close. It just drives me nuts. End of my rant.
Although I will say, just to tack on to your rant, just a smidge, one thing that does drive me crazy, it didn't so much in Next Gen because we never really, like, the idea that the Enterprise D was traveling great distances week to week was fine. But, like, somebody needed a map, and they need, like, I hate to be that guy, but correct, Ferenginar and the distance that they would have to travel from where they were last week to where they're running into Ferengi this week, like, doesn't make any sense. And it's
Mhm.
like, I realize, like, it's hyper nerdy to be worried about the galactic map, but it's still annoying. And
Maybe the Barzan wormhole was wagging around, and then they just popped out of there.
that, my friend, is called
Yeah,
headcanon.
Yeah, break canon in 2 different episodes.
Anywho, show me your thumbs.
Boo.
I'm only giving it a sideways for Trip in his underpants,
Yeah.
but it's still a no. Dog. Season 1, episode 20, Oasis. While exploring a crashed vessel on a desolate planet, the Enterprise crew are haunted by some ghostly figures, and they encounter an alien race that has survived despite insurmountable odds. Hello, Renee Auberjonois. Welcome back to Star Trek.
And Annie Wershing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Annie Wershing, yes.
I was definitely going to bring that up.
Both
May she
have,
rest in
yeah.
peace. That was her first Star Trek appearance, and of course would go on to be the Borg Queen in Picard Season 2.
Real quick, Joanne, based on that shitty description, are you watching this episode?
I saw the pictures, so yeah, I'm
Okay.
watching.
All right.
I read an interview with Rene Auberjonois where he was like, they hired me to play a role in an episode that I already did, that I starred
Yes.
in. He was
Yes.
just, I'll do it, but like, it's exactly the
basically
same
shadow
shadow
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shadow play part 2.
Yeah, even he clocked it. It's like, we did this. We did this on my show. We did this years ago. Brandon's tired. Rick is tired.
And it isn't just like it was a DS9 episode. It was a Renee episode, to
Mhm.
Benji's point. Like,
Yeah.
why are we doing this? I have no other thoughts. Thumbs?
I'll vote with Joe.
Wow.
Oh my lord.
Okay.
I don't think it was
y'all.
a bad episode. I'm just giving it sideways because it was overly treaded. It was like we've seen this before.
I mean, technically, all those shenanigans flush out to a sideways, so it's all good. Season 1, episode 21, Detained. Archer and Mayweather enter a military zone and are imprisoned by an alien race called Tendarans, who are at war with the Suliban.
And their AI Ziggy.
Joanne?
No reaction. Dean
Joanne?
Stockwell is in it. Were
I
you a
remember
quantum leap
thinking-
fan? No.
I
was
gave
a-
it a big old question mark.
It was a weird place to bring him back. It was like not I felt it was not a good enough role to bring him back for. Maybe they gotta give him something better.
Yeah. Like, if you wanted to do prosthetics, him as I liked the actor who plays Silic, but like having Dean Stockwell be Silic would have been interesting. Or Future Guy, if they ever revealed it, that would be a fun Easter egg.
Yes. I love that.
I'm sorry. Just grow a pair and cast him as Admiral Forrest from The Jump.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Dean Stockwell giving Scott Bakula his orders week to week.
That would be
Why not?
fucking great.
And he's constantly looking at a pad. He just keeps picking up a pad and like messing with it. It's fine.
Hey, look, if they wouldn't let Avery Brooks like shave his head from the start, they certainly aren't doing something like that.
You're not wrong.
This is hilarious. Quantum Leap reunion at Guantanamo Bay. Yeah, I don't. It was a decent episode. I'll give it a thumbs up, but it could have been better use of Dean Stockwell for sure in a different episode. I liked that we got the crew learning like, oh, the Suliban are not all one thing. I also think the timing of this episode is interesting and good on Star Trek for putting an episode out that's like, hey, not everybody who looks like the people who knocked down the Twin Towers are our enemy. That's basically the parallel that the Suliban are drawing here, and certainly the Zindi later on. So I'll give them some credit for that. Like the crew, like finally, like not all Suliban are the Cabal. Yeah.
You talked me into it. You talked me into a Sideways.
Yeah. Mm.
I thought some of the old like rusty tech they were working with was cool.
Actually, I'm going back to a Sideways because I remember the shuttle pod having phasers really pissed me off. Like, pick from the same place, it has a light and a phaser, and it bothers me.
It just has like a little lens that changes, like one lens and it's just like a light, and then the other.
No, Benji, no. But that would be cute.
No. Season 1, episode 22, Vox Sola. Hoshi desperately tries to communicate with a symbiotic alien creature that captures crew members, including Archer and Trip, cocoons them in its web, and bonds with them.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't write it, but if I did, Joanne, would you watch it?
It's jizz.
I would. I like things that have Latin words in them. Fox.
Every Latin name Star Trek episode is a winner.
Yeah, I will throw this back up. I legitimately was planning on doing a Trek for Trek Tuesdays. I do this stunt casting Star Trek, and I was going to do the cast of Girls Five Eva, and then I'm watching this episode, and I'm like, holy shit! Renee Elise Goldsberry is already in Star Trek. Many years before she would be. Angelica Schuyler. I was like, she was one of the Schuyler sisters in Hamilton. I was trying to remember. I think she was Angelica. She originated the role on Broadway. She's Wiki Roy in Girls Five Eva. She is a diva and incredible. She has a beautiful voice, and she is a hilarious actress.
And I believe was a Guinness World Records holder for most words spoken in the length of a song.
Mm.
Whoa.
Yeah. There's a lot. I forget. What is the name of the song in Hamilton?
Oh,
I don't remember. I can't be doing Broadway quizzes.
Satisfied was hers. But I thought it was David that had the most words. Was it?
Was it David?
I think it was David. It was red coats. I got it. Yeah. The one where I got to get my right hand man back. Fluent in French. I mean, Hamilton. I thought that was the one.
Welcome to a special segment of the Salon called Joanne Says Every Ninth Word of a Broadway Show.
You see it, right? Helpless.
Recast it now. Joanne. But the episode, I thought it was fun as a weird creature that we need to figure out how to communicate with. I love when Star Trek does that. It was a good episode for Hoshi. There were some interesting things like some cutting corners, like crewman Kelly, who Renee was playing, calls the captain when there's a problem. Like, why aren't you calling your supervisor? It's obviously a production thing and not doing business in a TV episode. That would be boring, but I clock it as a nerd. She should have tried to contact Trip since she was in engineering. But anyway, it was fun. Good stuff with Hoshi and T'Pol. Other thoughts?
My notes are tentacle porn and a bunch of guys screwing around in a pool.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, Archer
And there's like
his
literally
follow.
there's literally a shot where Archer first gets like trapped in the web, and there's like literally like cum like dripping off of his chin.
They knew what they were doing.
They knew exactly what they were doing.
Production was like,
Getting all-
we're gonna make
getting all
this
slippery
jizz.
and slimy.
The question is, was Bakula like, yeah, this feels normal?
I want to see the script. I want to know if the writer was like, this looks like jizz, or if the production team was just like, alien something captures the captain. All right, let's make it jizz. Who did the writer or did production do it?
Yeah, often those that like disconnect between the writer and then what they do in on the production side ends up with some interesting stuff. I will say one thing I thought was kind of interesting was that like there's the discussion about like whether they need to respect it as a new life form, and like who was it? Reed was like arguing with the doctor about it, and it's just interesting that they were all pushing to just like kill it and get their people, and then like 200 years later we're going to be watching episodes of TNG where they're on the other side of that and saying like, no, this life form could be intelligent and is just as valid as our own crew. So it's interesting to see where they start out in Starfleet and where they end up. Those conscientious.
Actually doing its premise well.
Yeah.
And good on Phlox.
Good on Phlox.
I mean, almost always.
Yeah. Thumbs?
I'm like a 45-degree angle, but
What's happening? I think it's gonna go to the chat. Somebody throw me a thumb in the chat. I gotta break the tie.
Either or, god damn it.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Joel. Pick a team.
Norman gives a sideways. I think it's a sideways, probably.
It's a sideways. Okay.
yeah. Realistically,
All right.
it's a sideways.
Fair enough. I was gonna make a joke about it. Never mind. Anyway, season 1, episode 23, Fallen Hero. Escorting a Vulcan ambassador accused of criminal misconduct, Enterprise comes under attack by a corrupt race. Wording. T'Pol asks for Archer's help in defending their charge.
Yeah,
Joanne,
that
based on that shitty description. Based on that shitty and speciest description, I'm going to take that subtle nod as a no.
It's absolutely a no. Ugh.
It's a good episode, Joanne. I think you would actually like it.
It's
It
good.
actually is not bad. Yeah, the description does not do it service. And the guest actress is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Is
There are a
that
couple of weird
Data's
things,
mom?
weird choices, but Finanula, I never know how to say it, but from the others / Juliana Tandro in Deep Space Nine and Data's mom, sort of.
Data's mom, sort of. Yes, Dr. Tanner.
Tanner.
Tanner. That sounds wrong, but it's
Tanner Tandro Villar. It should have been Talar. It should have been another T.
Yeah, I really like the character. I really like the premise. That was good. It was solid.
I liked the captain of the Sharan too. It was nice to get a Vulcan captain who wasn't just straight up asshole. Like he was very Vulcan, but is like, tell them to surrender their weapons or we'll destroy their ships. Very like, it was very matter of fact badassery, but it was badassery nonetheless.
Vulcan badassery can be the most entertaining because it doesn't involve an overly emotional response. It's always just it's Data in Redemption Part 2. I understand. Request denied.
Yeah.
It's just very like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I noticed that like in Shadows of Pajem too, like they were like, we're just going to send down a strike force and take care of it. It's really interesting to see like, because Vulcans take a back seat sort of once the humans take over in TNG times. And it was really interesting to see Vulcans in general having that kind of place in the galaxy, like them sort of being at the forefront and doing like the military stuff because they sort of had to. And then that changes, but yeah, it was that was interesting to get used to when the series was playing out originally.
Benji, you just made me realize something that I hadn't really thought of before, which is that Enterprise does successfully function as a prequel and bridging gaps when we think about the fact that what we see of the Vulcan High Command in season 4 kind of explains why they end up taking a little bit of a back seat.
Mm-hmm.
And as the Federation is formed and Starfleet is formed, they sort of aren't in a position to be making demands and taking control of things. Spoiler free for anybody that hasn't seen season 4. But there are some shenanigans in the High Command that we'll flush out later. Anywho.
Thumbs for Fallen Hero.
The chat says yes.
Chat has spoken. Oh boy. Season 1, episode
How many drinks in are we, Trev?
Desert Crossing. This gets thumbs up and several other things up. When Archer and Trip are invited to a desert-like planet, it's not desert-like, it's just a desert, by an alien leader, they discover he is a terrorist who has lured them onto his planet under false pretenses.
I'm just going to leave this up for a minute.
Joanne, based on that shitty description, but those amazing torsos, would you watch this episode?
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm watching.
Push all the buttons, Stan. Push them all.
Problematic gay alert. You thirsty bitch.
Yeah.
I will speak for Will for a moment, who said that this episode was part of his sexual awakening. It's kind of a boring episode generally, but fine. This I think is the definition of filler episode, pun not intended. But,
push it on yourself, bitch.
They could. But they could.
Problematic gay alert.
Yeah, the guest actor's performance felt like, oh, I'm in a desert, and so I'm going to talk as if I'm in a Middle Eastern desert, even though I'm a white man, but I'm an alien. It was very.
That's weird.
It was very weird. It was a weird choice. Like
they probably told him all of those things, and he had to put them together and average them out, and that's what he got to.
Yeah,
you gotta work with what you got.
And he's a good actor. I can't remember his name, but he's been in a bunch of shit. It's a weird choice to be like, hey, you're a white man. Can you do a weird, vaguely Middle Eastern accent for this desert episode about a terrorist? Like, I gave them credit for what they did with the Suliban a couple episodes ago. I'm taking it back.
Yeah, and like the second of two episodes where there's like weird macho manosphere weirdness going on.
Yeah. If you don't play this game, I'm going to be offended, and we're manly. Like, God.
Yeah.
Yes, Joel Clancy Brown.
It was weird, but some fun T'Pol in command stuff happened.
Yes, I do love seeing T'Pol in the command chair. It's a weird angle to film her, but I know what they're doing in this episode, and at least it's cross-gender. For once.
T'Pol's on this slide. I'm sorry.
There's just a corduroy blur on the right.
Yeah. All right, let's see the thumbs for Desert Crossing.
Keep pulling up the image. It's fine.
Clancy Brown is Mr. Krabs. That's why he sounds like that.
You need to watch just a little bit of the episode so you can at least hear his weird voice choices.
So weird.
I am easily offended, Captain. Well, you're probably offending a lot of people with this accent, Clancy.
Season 1, episode 25, 2 days and 2 nights. Shore leave on the pleasure planet Risa leaves the crew in various states of disarray. Fox is awakened from his annual 48-hour hibernation to treat an injured crew member. I'm sorry.
Not the worst description.
Just because we have to do this one off the hop. Yeah, this one was my sexual awakening.
Yeah. Travis is beautiful. Hoshi gets
I had already been sexually awakened by the time this episode came out, but it didn't hurt.
Bet you wish it did.
Problematic gay alert.
I'd let it.
I thought this episode was fun. I thought there was some interesting not foreshadowing, but they've been trying to get to Risa for several episodes, which is like that's something that I'll give them a little credit. Like they mentioned Risa like 6 episodes ago. They're like, oh yeah, let's go there. And then like for one reason or another, they never get there. Finally they do. And it's super fun. Trip and Malcolm do some douchey nonsense and end up getting their clothing stolen by aliens pretending to be Rysian women. Hilarious-ish.
It was a
What?
just the luring them in, pretending to be women, and then when they transformed, their reactions was a little
Over the top for sure.
Yeah.
And they're kind of Night at the Roxbury too.
Yes, very Night at the Roxbury. Also, like they were like, I don't like Trip right now on this rewatch of Enterprise, and I used to love him. It's weird. Like they were lying to those women about who was the captain, and like you don't need to do that. Like at that moment, they didn't know that they were not women. Like they were into you. You didn't need to lie to them, and that was weird. I did love that Hoshi got some, and they didn't do anything weird with that character. He was just into her, and she had a lovely vacation. Loved that. She got to practice her tongue, her alien tongue. Archer, that little laugh was very Tribble like Trevor. That was adorable. He's replicating. The Archer meeting an interesting woman, and it turns out she was just trying to get in. She's probably Tandaran. This show does do a decent job of calling back in a lot of cases. Shadows of Pajama was the weird one, but calling back to the Tandarans and be like her wanting all the information on the Suliban. But they didn't go too heavy-handed with it. Like all around, I thought this episode was just fun. Like fun little shenanigans happening for all of the crew, including Phlox getting woken up because Travis was having an allergic reaction to the medical care on Risa because they hadn't treated humans before.
Clearly an allergic reaction because he was swollen all over. And yes, Norman, this episode was both homophonic and homophobic.
Yes.
I forgot to ask Joanne, would you, based on that horrible description and all of us ranting and the fact that Travis is in spandex, would you watch this episode?
So I saw the picture of Travis.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to call that a yes.
So that's a yes, right? Yeah.
Everyone should watch this episode. Whether you like it or not is another thing.
Yeah.
It was cute. It was fun. It's a little weird for it to be the second to last episode of a season. But Trek does that a lot. Second to last episode of seasons and series finales is like, let's just do something.
Billingsley's comedic work is brilliant.
Yes,
Great.
I got to give him credit for that.
So
The all of the stuff around his hibernation is hilarious, including him waking up from it prematurely.
I am the chief medical officer, and I will treat my patient, Captain.
Thumbs?
Boo, Benji, boo.
All right, folks. Season 1, episode 26, Shockwave, Part 1. Starfleet orders the Enterprise home after the crew seemingly causes the destruction of an alien planet they were exploring. Archer travels through time with Daniels to thwart Suliban plans. Dun dun dun. Joanne, based on that weird description, would you watch this episode?
Actually, I saw it for whatever reason. I didn't know what was going on, but I watched it. Not that-
All right.
So the answer is no. She will never watch it again.
Clearly.
That's fair. Cronenberg looks so young. Yes, he does, Joel.
It's an episode. There's I think my problem with this episode is it's death by 1,000 cuts for me. It's Archer's poutiness, it's some acting choices, it's the conceit that Archer is that important. This is the first episode that really does this, and there will be several others that suggest that Archer specifically and alone, this mediocre white man who we have seen through the last 3 episodes of discussing these episodes, is not a great captain and is there through nepotism. He gets better. He's a good captain. He's a decent captain. He's not a good captain. And this is their first time, whatever. But like the idea that this basic white man, not a great captain, is that integral, that like him being plucked from the timeline causes Earth to be destroyed, is fucking nuts. Like that is white saviorism to the nth degree.
It's also just a bad choice. Like it's one thing to say that, you know, Picard becomes a little too friendly with an omnipotent being and starts fucking with things, and oops, he accidentally caused the destruction of humanity by, you know, palling around with this omnipotent being. But Archer's life apparently determines whether or not all life in the galaxy survive. Like that no one gets upset about Archer, but people get upset about Michael Burnham is everything you need to know about those people.
Yes. 1,000%.
And I said I wasn't going to rant, so I'm just going to do it subtly.
There was some fun stuff in this, like Archer and T'Pol talking about time travel. To Paul being like, "Hey, dude, you're moping. You gotta put your big boy pants on. You gotta talk to your government. I will talk to mine." I really liked Paul in this episode.
I think this was also meant to be like their first attempt at doing something around 9/11, and then they go and try to do it again but bigger. I think the thing that I like the most about it is like they do like very much convey the sense of urgency around it. The whole season is sort of building to what happens here, which is like, oh, are we ready to be out here? And no, we're not. So I like those things about it a lot. Like it's very rare that like an episode of television actually makes me feel things, and like I like really tense during this episode. So I think it's successful in that way. I think it's cool. I think it's a cool episode, but
You also just reminded me. I like that the stakes of this episode. What like he was a little too mopey about it, but the inciting incident being a colony, not an entire world, not the whole galaxy, but a small mining colony was destroyed, and like the number of people, like that's not what mattered to Archer, that they could have caused this accident that killed any number of people was devastating for him. And like I think that weighing on him differently would have hit better for me, but like the actual inciting incident being not an entire world was a good choice. It shows the morality of humans that we want to see. Thumbs?
Good cliffhanger. Like
Yeah.
that. I remember like that pan out from the building. That was good
Yeah.
cliffhanger.
Can you imagine now
Go ahead.
seeing that and being like, well, we'll figure out what happens in a year.
I guess they kind of did.
That would have,
Yeah.
yeah, that because that it would have been from May to September was all you had to wait. Imagine waiting.
Well,
Yeah,
think of the nerds who flipped out at the end of Best of Both Worlds, though. I mean,
right.
The first time that ever happened.
Mhm.
And they had to wait all summer.
Mhm.
Like we keep hearing about from their generation.
Yes, and every con. Trevor, do you have a tally for us of thumbs before we get into the scorecard of the episode?
I do. Do you want me to do that and just roll right into the scorecard?
Let's do it. Let's roll.
Do you have anything? All right, let's roll. Let's do it. Let's fucking do it. Let's go, man. There were a grand total of 10 thumbs ups. There were 10 thumbs sidewayses, and there were 6 thumbs downs. So despite some early criticism out the gate, we didn't hate this season. We didn't love it either.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. It's not a bad season. I believe I'm doing this on memory, and I will not incite a whole new form of Salon, but I believe this beats season 7 of TNG.
Let's do a thumb war on a thumb war.
That was my next idea. Thanks for reading my mind. My God. Also, a new category, new scoreboard type for this particular thumb war version edition. There were Joanne said yes, she would watch 8 of these episodes sight unseen. She said nah to about 5 of them. She said fuck yes to the episode with Travis and Spandex, and she was up on at least one. This episode of Salon, there were 5 problematic gay alerts. I believe I take ownership over at least 3 of them, which I'm super proud of. There were 2 problematic ally alerts. There was 1 canon alert. Nice job, Benji. There is 1 Ken well actually, but it's a throwback to yesterday when we were testing the platform, so it doesn't exist anymore, but I initiated a Ken well actually by being a total smartass while we were testing a new platform for the stream. I gave 250 bonus points to Norman in the chat for, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically, hey Jude. I gave 100 bonus points to Benji for awesome answers to the intention setter, and I gave 5 million bonus points to Joanne for, again, paraphrasing, but basically saying she's a bug, but her hair is fly.
Is she that bug? That moment's gonna lie. Is she that bug?
It's a Salon t-shirt in the making.
It's great. Well, friends, that is the end of season 1. It took 2 weeks. It's been a long road getting from there to here, but we did it. Thank you for rolling with my chaos today with all of the tech issues and
wait, I forgot.
delay.
Stan, I'm so sorry. I forgot one thing. I gave 10 bonus points to Stan's mom because it'll piss him off that his mom has more points than he does.
You know what? Good for her. Picking her up was just an ordeal.
Girl, you can whisper all you want. You're on YouTube.
Yeah.
This lives in infamy.
She will never see this.
I'm gonna text her the link.
Well, y'all, we will be back next week to discuss the first half of season 2. We got to pick up this cliffhanger and figure out what happens in Shockwave Part 2. Will the world be saved? Will Archer exist and therefore everything will be great for a few centuries? It's so stupid.
Or does everyone die in the season premiere?
Because one white man was plucked from history. Anyway, it's going to be delightful. Please like and subscribe, share all of our stuff and all of the platforms, and comment on all of our videos. It's super helpful. And until next week, I will find my cursor. And until next week, live long and prosper.
All hands abandon ship. Proceed to the nearest evacuation zone immediately.